All right. Well, just you thought it was safe to get out of bed and go deal with the world, right? So, this is the last of the July reports. This is for the Capricorn eclipse that we are very well under the umbra of as we speak. So, this eclipse is occurring at 24 Capricorn, and it is the evil stepmother of eclipses right now. Um, some things that are important to note about this particular eclipse. One, this eclipse does pull in Pluto. Um, and this is not a fun thing to have to deal with. So the eclipse is involving Pluto. The moon is with Pluto as part of this full moon eclipse. At the same time, Venus and Saturn are not only in exact opposition to each other, they're also conjunct the nodes. So we've got all sorts of what is it, coming to Jesus moments occurring right now. So if you've been paying attention, one of the things that you'll notice is that the last 2 weeks from July 2nd up until now, even as we're moving into this eclipse on the 16th, has been not great at all, especially if you've been living here in the United States. Literally, I'm having trouble keeping up with what's been going on. It's just been insane. A lot of this has been because we have been in a tunnel between the two eclipses, and neither one of these are really happy-go-lucky positive eclipses. Also, Mercury was going retrograde at the same time. It's going retrograde squaring Mars, or I'm sorry, conjuncting Mars, while it was squaring Uranus. It's just, this has not been the best time. So for myself, not that my personal life matters too much, but I can tell you that I went from having intractable back pain and spasms that had me laid up in bed for 48 hours to losing a friend to having horrible allergies, literally just knocked me out of commission for about a week. Um, to be followed by just the other day a grease burn on my foot. So I've been trying very hard to lay low between these eclipses, and even laying low, this is what I've been getting. So it has not been easy. Now, the other things that you're going to notice a lot, and you may have been seeing it now, I'm saying this now because we're not out of the woods yet. So this is going to get more intense as we move into the 16th and 17th. We're not even clear of this until at least the 20th. So pay very close attention to how you conduct yourself as well as things that are happening around you. Under this eclipse, some things that you're going to see a lot of and more of as we get into it, closer to it, are there are people who are literally looking for a fight. Do not give it to them. Take 10 steps back, take big breaths, do whatever you need to do to not get triggered or sucked into their baiting for a fight or an argument. You don't need to be that casualty for them. You don't need to fall on that sword. The other thing is understand that eclipses are in effect for at least 6 months out. So things that are occurring now that are symbolic or of portent for the future will continue to have shock waves or like rolling tidal waves, sea waves as it were, building crescendos that will literally continue out into December. For those of us living in the US, all of the major events that are going on, such as 90-degree heat in Alaska, Washington, D.C. being underwater, Epstein and R. Kelly both being dragged back in the court to face charges, new charges for old crimes that they almost got away with, but this time they don't get a get out of jail free card, as well as a lot of public officials in our government being implicated and being dragged through this, and also the migrant crisis, and this becoming a huge flashpoint with the entire country and people mobilizing as civilians mobilizing to protest this. All of these things and more, because we're not through. And remember, the Mueller testimony is coming out. There's a whole lot more going on. Pay attention to what's happening now, because these are things that will have reverberations or shockwaves continuing on into December. Oh, and also there were the earthquakes in California, which were so strong. Literally, they were feeling them as far north as Canada up to a week after the fact. So big stuff happening. Now, with that said, so Moon Pluto involved with this eclipse, Pluto being involved in the eclipse right there tells us there are some major significant things going on. Also, possibly some vindictive power plays and revenge scenarios. But this is also a time of reckoning, Okay, hence Kelly and Epstein, and Acosta. So it's not only a time of reckoning, but it is also a time of breakthrough. So not everything's bad. There are some good things. I'm sorry, it's my allergies. Um, so be aware that there are major game-changing paradigm power shifts that are occurring. Isn't that a mouthful? As we speak under this eclipse, and we're going to see this play out all the way through to December. This will not be easy because people do not give up their positions of power very easily or very quickly. So we can see a lot of resistance where that's concerned. And this may be where we're seeing a lot of fighting and people literally spoiling for a fight. Now, of special attention is Venus and Saturn both being in opposition to each other almost exactly, and also involving the nodes because they're within 1 degree of conjunction of the nodes. So with Venus and Saturn opposing each other, people are not feeling good. There is a real concern with scarcity. There's a lot of fear. There's a real issue about who's worthy of food, shelter, nurturing, love, safety, all those Cancerian things. And Saturn is about worthiness. Venus and Saturn opposition can also make people cruel. So people who lean heavily on the rules will lean even heavier on the rules. And this may be something that is to their detriment, because this will be way too excessively. If they're already heavy-handed about the rules, they will be even more so now, and not for anyone's benefit. It's just an unfortunate byproduct of a Venus-Saturn opposition like this. With that said, what this also means is this is a very, very important time to have conversations about frugality and budgeting and longevity and making sure that people are going to be able to eat and have food, shelter, and clothing moving forward. There's a lot more going on here. Now, with the nodes, we know that the North Node, South Node axis tells us a lot about habits and reflexes that we've brought with us from other lifetimes, past skills and routines and reflexes and things that we've done before and done to death, versus things that we are supposed to be building on and working on and improving and developing as skills and traits. With the South Node in Capricorn, the situations that are presented to us in and under this eclipse have a lot to do with rules and structure and patriarchy and the paternal lines in our family, and authority and discipline and organization and management. Remember, Capricorn is the sign of resource and management. So the keywords are I use, but it's not necessarily I use in an opportunistic sense, although that is certainly a possibility with Capricorn energy. It is more about managing the resources, which includes people around us, which is why you'll frequently find people with heavy Capricorn energy getting involved in managerial positions, because that is where they have the strongest skill set, because it is a natural inclination for them to tell other people what to do. So this is our South Node. We're coming from a place where it's been very heavy-handed on the authority side and the rules and regulations and the counting and measuring, and being lean and tight and stingy, and trying to very frugally handle our resources. But where we are supposed to go is the North Node in Cancer, and it's with Venus. So with the North Node and Venus together in Cancer, where we are supposed to go is come from a more heart-centered or gut-centered place. And it's very much about taking care of people and nurturing relationships and nurturing families and children, and making provisions for future generations, and what is the word that I'm looking for? Gestating, right? Impregnating and gestating things that will yield and bear fruit later. So rather than counting and measuring and allocating, small resources here and there, we're supposed to be planting seeds for the future that will produce, a very positive, fruitful yield for everyone. Because Venus in Cancer and the North Node in Cancer is very much about taking care of the generations, and specifically women and children. Okay, because the women and children, it's not that women and children by and of themselves are a specific thing, as much as they represent something very important to our survival, which is the future. Okay, because without women and children, you have no future. So That's where we're at, and this is the axis we're struggling with. However, what we may see manifesting are a lot of people feeling very, very insecure and a whole lot of angst, and just some people just mean and cruel and stingy. And when you see this, this is not the model you want to follow, because it is just no, just no. Okay, so now with this going on, we also have Venus and Saturn are also, by the way, the strongest planets in the chart right now under this eclipse. So that has a lot to do with a heavier emphasis on these nodal activity in Cancer and Capricorn. Also, Jupiter in the USA chart, except for Washington, CCC, Washington, D.C. is rising on the chart, and this has a very important thing. So we're hoping, crossing our fingers, that we do have guardian angels looking out for us that will protect us from our own stupidity. Time will tell. Time will tell. But I have every confidence that we're going to get through this in the right ways, and in ways that don't lead to more carnage. Dear God, because of this Jupiter rising on the chart over DC, and we really, really need some divine intervention right now if we've ever needed anything. The other thing that I thought was interesting about this particular eclipse chart is that Mars is conjunct Acellus Australis, which is part of two stars, Acellus Australis and Acellus Borealis. Both of these represent the two donkeys at the manger. And one of the things that's interesting about that signature is that it has a lot to do with unexpected obstacles and delays and things moving forward. And oftentimes this is where the divine intervention comes in, because something stops us from moving forward, even though we don't know what the problem is up ahead. It's almost as if, what is it, the two donkeys or the animals, have a psychic sense that's more developed than ours, or a more instinctive sense. And they recognize that there's a danger ahead that we're not necessarily able to process in our higher human mind. So gut instincts are everything right now. And remember, this eclipse continues on through December. So be kind, be gentle, take the higher road, understand that the seeds we plant for the future have to be positive ones that yield fruitful, good fruit. It's not enough to measure meager amounts and be lean and frugal with what we do have, and talk about who's worthy and who's not. What's more important is that we are planting seeds for future generations and looking at future survival, because it's all about women and children as symbolic of our survival as a group in the future, because without women and children, there is no future. So there's that. This particular eclipse is just not going to be a happy eclipse. So I would say for all of you, if you could absolutely do it, one, be aware that some people are looking for a spite too, looking for a fight. So the crazy makers are out there, and the crazy people are out there in force. Oh my Lord. But mostly you're going to see a whole lot of hotheads spoiling for a fight. Don't get sucked into that. Walk lightly, speak softly, tread carefully. And you may even find yourself, and I know what's going on, and I've caught myself getting short and irritable and poking, just to poke, because even though you know what's going on, you're still not immune to the energy. So, but know that about yourself, and know that this is what's kind of going on. So try not to engage, try not to get battle engaged, because it will invariably be over something stupid. Okay. So we're under this until about the 20th. Just a whole lot of challenging, spoiling for a fight stuff going on. And again, pay attention to events both in your personal life as well as in the big picture out there in the world. Things that are happening now have the potential, not all of them, but many of these things have the potential to have significant portent and color or influence, or be a big red flag, or a big gold star of things to expect as we move forward over the next 6 months. It's not all bad. We've got some major breakthroughs that are possible at this time, and a lot of good can come out of this if we keep our head above water, and we stay calm and clear and rational, and we focus on the higher road. So grasping for power, clinging to the past, being mean and stingy and calculating worth and measuring out and doling out small things because we're coming from a place of fear is exactly the exact opposite of what will produce a positive outcome later, and income. So do operate with that in mind. If you are looking to make major changes in your life, this may very well be the beginning of a swell tide or a wave, right? That's kind of building, building, building. And sometime in the next 6 months, you may find there are major, major changes in your life that are literally going to turn your life 180 degrees in the other direction, or 90 degrees in a direction you weren't even thinking about before. So don't underestimate the power of destiny and fate to put you on the path that you need to be on. So that's that. So if you're looking for answers, you're looking for a change, you need things to do something else. They will, but you got to have your mind right so your antenna, is moving you in the right direction. So you're navigating the right direction, or in a better direction, as opposed to change for change's sake, which doesn't improve a situation. For those of you who are going through some major crisis right now, understand that this will all be behind you in 6 months. It will come to an end. But for right now, you're needing to go through these experiences because there are things that need to be burned out of your life, discarded, let go of, dead weight needs to be carved away, and you need to be lightened and loosened for much faster, bigger, better things. So sometimes we got to cleave stuff and we got to trim some of the fat, as it were. And with that said, that is your 24 Capricorn eclipse. There are more notes, mostly because it's easier for me to organize my thoughts in writing, on my Patreon page. I'll put the address down below. You can take a look over there. And I think that's it. I will periodically come in and update the comments section below. You're welcome to comment. I do read them. I apologize if I'm not as responsive as I normally am these days. And you can hear it in my voice. I sound ridiculous. So I've got some stuff that I'm going through as well. This eclipse is not sparing me either. Trying to navigate as best I can. But remember, the Venus and North Node in Cancer during this eclipse is the thing we want to focus on and navigate by. That is the star we want to travel with. So think about what Venus and North Node in Cancer means in practice, in your life, in your personality, right? In the houses of your chart. What does Venus in Cancer imply, suggest, impel? That's the direction we want to go in. All right. This is a very delicate time, and this is a very trying time. And there's a lot of karmic scales being weighed and measured, but it's not over just because the eclipse ends on the 16th or 17th. We're under the intense spotlight until the 20th with this eclipse. We will not be out of the window of influence for either of these eclipses at the beginning of July or now until we get past December. So be ready to be in it for the long haul if you're going to change your life or change your behaviors, right? But remember that good things are possible, but you cannot plant an apple tree and expect watermelons to grow. Like, you're going to get what you plant. So plant the seeds that you want to see come to fruition later. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.